right, so I'm up here on this very cold night replacing a bushing that my son about Robin Hooded, my 10-year-old. Just it knocked the IP knock up into the shaft. So pretty cool, but I got to replace this so that he'll have this arrow. And I thought this is as good a time as any to talk about the last video that I made where I was talking about bows and the tiers of the bows and things like that, and I was pretty clear about don't get too personal and don't get your feelings hurt and all that, and it's just for conversation. 3 archery bow companies and flagship bows, you know, they're all good. It's just conversation. Don't get your feelings hurt. If you like Prime and I've got them as a tier 3, don't get your feelings hurt. Just tell me what your tiers are and how you would have them. Again, I don't shoot Hoyt. I've never owned a Hoyt. I can recognize that Hoyt's a good bow. Lots of people love them and they're popular with their following. So that's why I've got them. Get your feelings hurt and all that, and it's just for conversation about the tiers of the bows. If you hadn't watched that, go back and watch that video. It's around 50,000 views, and most of the comments are positive and people that understand, like, you know, it's just conversation, and there is some debate. And I said that there would be some debate about like PSE and Bowtech and you know, Prime and things like that. I thought that was kind of understood. And I made that very clear that there's some debate on this, and that's what makes it a cool conversation. And I'm just wanting to have a conversation about it. I'm not looking to, like, I'm not selling bows or anything, so I don't get anything out of these conversations. I just thought it was an interesting conversation about the tiers of the bows and based off popularity. And popularity kind of goes hand in hand with resale. If the bow's not popular, it's not going to resell very well. And I thought I made that pretty clear when yeah, that's trash. When I made the video, was that it's about popularity, and part of popularity is resale value. Well, I had a lot of people. I had some people that didn't get the memo about it's just a conversation, like, calm down, don't get so butthurt about it, that were basically saying things like, you're an idiot if you're buying a bow for resale value. It's not the point. That's not the purpose. But with that said, I do think it is an interesting conversation to say, are you not very smart to be buying a bow that you know immediately loses value? You know, is it smart to buy a truck that immediately loses 50% of its value when you drive it off the lot? I think most people would say, Dave Ramsey would say, you're dumb for doing that you should not do that. You shouldn't buy a bow that immediately loses value, whether you plan on keeping it or not. Things change. Bows that shoot great in the shop, you leave the shop and all of a sudden you're like, this isn't so great. I just can't get right with it. I've known people that were Matthews guys. They bought a Hoyt and they never got right with the Hoyt. They sold it after the first year and went back to a Matthews. That you hear those stories all the time. So is it wrong to have a little bit of, you know, I want to make sure I'm getting something that isn't going to be upside down and I just lose my butt on? Prime example is this. The Prime Form is $1,600 roughly, give or take. It's actually a really good bow. I shot it the other day. It shoots really good. It's smooth. It feels great. It feels stable. I was really surprised by it. It's a $1,600 bow. No one in their right minds thinks that bow should be more than a Matthews Lift X. And I don't own a Matthews Lift X, but I mean, it's $200 more. The Matthews Lift X is around $1,400. Prime Form is around $1,600. I'm sure it's a great bow. But again, is it worth $200 more? And then next year, next summer, next spring, whenever, you know, a year from now, a year from when you buy it, no one would argue that the Prime Form is going to have the same, that you're going to get the same percentage of your money back. I just think that's common sense. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and I do agree that the best thing to do is buy a bow, keep it for 10 years or whatever, and just keep shooting it, get comfortable with it. But again, just for conversation's sake, not to get your feelings hurt, don't get mad about this. Don't get mad about this. Don't get mad about this. There is something to the idea of this is the better investment. If this is an investment, I think you'd be better off getting those tier 1, tier 2, the upper part of tier 2 bows for an investment if you're going to sell it after a year or 2 or even 3. And that's kind of my method. Keep them for a couple years, and before they bottom out in value and I get nothing for them and they just sit over there and rot and collect dust and they can't get strings for them, pass it on down the road to the next guy, and I take a little bit of a hit on the price, and I let the next guy have a new bow to him, and he's excited about it, and it comes fully rigged, ready to go when I give it to him. This PSE Levitate over here, I love that bow. That is one of my all-time favorite bows. It was $2,000 when I bought it. I might get $1,000 for it. Probably more like $800 for it. That's a pretty big hit. That's over 50% of what it costs to buy the bow. I've lost in value after 2 years. If you look back at 2 years ago, was the Phase 4. They were around $1,200. I think you could probably get those for the $600 to $700, so a little bit better value, maybe a 40% hit. Just my observations on Facebook Marketplace, not eBay, not anything. It's just an observation and a guess kind of at that. I just think it's an interesting conversation. Again, don't get your feelings hurt. Don't call people an idiot. Don't call me an idiot. I don't care if you do. I'm not going to let you comment, but I will laugh at you. And I will tell you that I love you and I hope you have a better day. So with that said, I just think that's an interesting conversation with the tiers of the bows. And that was the whole point. And it's just, which bows are the most popular and have the better resale. I know there's a million different ways that you could describe tiers of bows, and features and all that stuff is cool, but how do you define a feature? Because there's so many things. Every bow claims to have a feature. Is it all true, and do they all work the same? And there's a lot of variables there, and I don't know that they're apples to apples. And in reality, it's just conversation. So those of you that had a nice dialogue on there about that, I appreciate that, and I'm all for that. A lot of people said, like Bowtech ought to be tier 1, Darton ought to be tier 2. Those are valid points. I can't really argue with you. It was just my observation, and I appreciate your point of view on it. And I can see your point of view. I'm not mad. I don't care. So I hope you have that kind of view as you come into this. It's just conversation. Don't get your feelings hurt. But I do think if you're looking at it as an investment and not just, I'm going to buy this and I'll never buy another one for 20 years. If you're looking at it as an investment, buying a top tier bow makes more sense. And that was the whole point in the video. But if you're not looking at it as an investment and you're just going to buy one bow and never buy another one for 10, 15, 20 years, maybe it doesn't matter to you. Buy whatever you want. And again, I don't care what you buy. I'm not selling it. So just interesting conversation pieces. I thought it was interesting. I thought the dialogue back and forth was interesting. Like, subscribe, leave a comment here. We'll have more stuff like this. We're doing giveaways. Check the Instagram page. I've got some stuff pinned to the top. We're doing a giveaway right now. You probably have another day, maybe 2, maybe, to get entered. So go ahead and do that if you hadn't already. We've got more coming probably this whole month into February through February. So go like, subscribe this post. Go to Instagram, like, subscribe, and get entered for a chance to win some cool stuff we're giving away. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you. Have a good one.